Alright, welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, Day 64. You may hear some thunder rumbling out there. It's currently a very intense thunder and lightning storm outside. TLO does things, says hello. How's it going? Alright. See, I can't tell how much you can hear the, I guess you can probably kind of hear the rain out there. Not sure how much my mic picks it up. Yeah, anyway, can't believe it's been 30 days since I first tuned in. Can't really hear? Okay. Yeah, I should almost, because my preamp, I can only put one XLR cable in the preamp. Would have been kind of nice to, could have put it out the window so I could listen to the thunderstorm. You'll probably hear some thunder at one point. Still going, I see flashes and stuff out there. But yeah, time flies. We're already on day 64. In terms of updates, there's no new updates today, but I did get one update on June 24th. I got a notification about the next hearing date. So the last LTB hearing, we heard from some witnesses, ran out of time, and they adjourned the hearing. So we're going to have the next hearing on October 6th. So I got a bit of time to forget about that and focus on other stuff. Galactic Past 7285 says, hello, Robert. That's interesting. I guess the handles that show up in chatter must be slightly different tonight. Maybe they changed. Oh, interesting. Yeah, Sam's handle as well. For Galactic Past, it just used to just say Galactic Past, but and now Sam is shows the full username. Random. Yeah, I don't know. Orthoplex 64. I guess he's still the same. Sends a wave, and everyone is number one. After this stream, we will need more bits in our computers. Oh yeah, 64. Well, actually, I guess this one is the one where you need the extra bit, because you can represent from 0 to 63 with what is it, 8? No, 8, 16, 32, 12 bits, is it? Then as soon as you go 64, you need another bit. Oh yeah, in terms of progress, today I continued working on accounting. So as of today, I've finished balancing the credit card statements. So I have the checking account, credit card account balanced, and I started going through some other purchases that I made this year. And I'm thinking maybe within a day or two, I can probably wrap up the accounting work. So last night I worked on I think that must be the bright moon out there. Clouds are all lit up. I'm gonna just check the clouds. Sky just looks kind of weird outside. I looked out and I saw like I thought it was clouds lit up, but it's still daylight out a little bit, but it's like pitch dark and rainy. 2 to the 6. Yeah, everyone's username has changed. Dev Yoshi Kaka Kira. Checking the clouds, not to be confused with the cloud. Yeah, I thought it was the moon at first, but it's actually just the opposite. It's a hole in the clouds. So the thing I implemented last night was, I updated the person, the player character, to be a happy face, which is more instructive. But the other major difference was I simplified some of the code for printing the player position. I simplified it and also separated it out into a separate layer. So before, there was just like a giant, array of things that got printed and written to the display buffer. And so when you wrote when it would figure out the player character background color at the same time as it figured out the map area color. So those are now in separate layers. So now when I write the player character, that writes to this layer. And then as a separate operation, that gets merged down. So that will facilitate some other optimizations in the future. So when I want to move around, I can take the the rendered texts and so forth. And it'll be good when I have if I have like multiple entities on the screen, so that way, because when things move around, if there's like multiple players on the screen and they move around, it doesn't actually change the terrain. I can keep that separate. Showing our handle and not our display name. Yeah, I didn't change any settings. I don't know if it's not sure if it's that way in your on your end of the chat. Yet another pointless YouTube GUI change. Yep. Like that for you too? Yep, nothing I can out of my control. Still waiting for YouTube to add folders for subscription lists. Maybe someday. So there's many things I could do. I probably won't bother playtesting a lot because there's not much. It's getting kind of boring. So one of the other big refactoring things I wanted to do was I mentioned in some previous streams how this class, I have a design flaw in this, and I want to change it so that the upper and lower address has a basically +1 convention, or for the upper address it'll have a +1 being like exclusive range, an open-ended range. So I have a ton of code written that relies on this. And I guess maybe I'll start by, I'll just copy and paste this class to like a new transition class. We'll call it like new cuboid address or something. And then maybe first I'll start by copying and pasting the unit tests, and then try to get the unit tests. I have a few unit tests to test some of these functions, get them to pass with the new date structure. And then once they pass with that, then I can start transitioning. I can go back and update all the old references and maybe have some kind of bridge. I can maybe have like a constructor on this, so you can construct the new cuboid with an old one. And then have like a few have a few rounds of updates, and then eventually get rid of the old class and start only using the new one. Robert, I've encountered a problem. I'm trying to implement an immediate mode GUI. I can't figure out how to handle UI menu resizing. How did you implement your UI layout for your game? For the UI, like everything about your UI depends on what like primitive device context you're writing in. So in the concept of a terminal, the fundamental thing you're working with is like a column in the terminal. So I can like, select a few columns. So the terminal at any given time is so many characters wide, so many characters tall. So to have to implement the UI layout, I have to like figure out the width of the terminal, then kind of lay things out according to how much space is available. So there's just you just start with whatever the constraints are and then go from there. Now, if you're working in a graphical interface, I think you before, what were you using? You were using like Vulkan or something. I haven't used that before, but if you're using some kind of like a 3D graphics library, then I guess if you're working with some device that has a certain width in pixels, then you would just instead of working with columns, you just do all the same kind of math with pixels. And then from there, depending on how you want to, like if you want to have a user interface like mine, like with the frames and stuff. So everything. So I've basically a couple primitive concepts. One is a split. So like in Vim, I can do I could do a split : split temp foo.txt. So this is a horizontal split in Vim, or a vertical split, and then I can also do H-split. Or no, I guess that's a vertical split, and the other one's horizontal. So this thing just allows me to do splits. So, oh man, I'm stuffed up tonight. So in the context of my UI, by default, like if you only have one window open, the user interface consists of one leaf node split. And if I want to split the UI, it's a tree of splits. So it starts at the root. The root can either be a vertical split, a horizontal split, or a leaf node. If it's a vertical or horizontal split, then it has two children. And the children are, it has exactly two children. No more, no less. And they can be themselves, any one of those three. It could be a leaf node, horizontal split, or vertical split. And then you just traverse down the tree to figure out the dimensions of each of the frames. And so the leaf node, that contains the frame, or whatever you're trying to print. And the H or V split themselves doesn't actually do anything, except you have a boundary between the two. Rendering side is not the problem. I still have no clue how to implement the UI hierarchy. Pretty cheap to render the UI. Max, you have like 10,000 triangles per frame. Yeah, if you want to, if you want to implement your own, if it depends if you want to have draggable windows and stuff like that would be very different than what I have. But for mine, that's a pretty simple approach. If you're okay with just kind of static, non-movable frames, where you have, you start with, so it ends up being a tree of splits. So there's the leaf node, horizontal, and vertical split. Vulkan, are you sure you want immediate mode? Swap chain is supposed to always be there. I don't know enough about Vulkan or UI programming to even understand that statement, so I would say Orthoplex 64 is probably way ahead of me on that. I don't even know what Vulkan is exactly and what it does, so on that note, I can't comment a lot. The other thing to think about is you can also have another thing to think about in doing UIs is the possibility of having multiple layers, writing to multiple layers, and then possibly having to merge them down. Like you'd have a Z index, and as you need one of those things is considered on the top, and you'd have a mask that allows you to like move things down. In terms of when it resizes, so I have a function. It's not my design is not necessarily the greatest design, but in the console, you can check my code if you want. Let's see so I renamed it a few times. I'm trying to find where this function is. I renamed it so many times. See, it's in the user interface split base class. Maybe it's in that collect frame dimensions. I guess this is where I do the calculation. So basically, what I do is in the terminal, I know the dimensions of the terminal, and then all of the dimensions of the terminal of the frames are related to all the dimensions of an individual frame are related to the overall dimensions of the terminal and the number of items in that split, the number of children in that split. Actually, I think I said before that split only had 2 children, but I guess I think it can have more. So it's just either they're horizontally arranged or vertically arranged per split level. So once you know the dimensions of the parent, so the frame knows the dimensions of whatever it's sitting inside of, whether it's the terminal or whether it's an individual frame. And based on that, so it knows the size of its container, whatever that is, and based on that, if it has children, it just sends the dimensions of itself to those children. And then it also is a thing to propagate that back up. So you could use that to resize your UI. So just think of it like a tree, where whatever thing is on the top of the UI, whatever things are contained within that, assuming you can actually represent it as a tree. It depends what your UI looks like. Robert, why do you need funds for world domination? You got to get money to do stuff. Money is required to make stuff happen. Hey Robert, it's a terminal game in Java. Yes, indeed. I thought I was taking over the world. Yep, I'm doing that too. Did you get your driver's license? Yes, I got that many years ago. Yeah, so there's some code for that in the user interface split vertical, and also another one in the user interface split horizontal. But this UI model might not make sense for whatever you're doing, depending on how it works. All right, I was trying to run a unit test, but zero tests. Oh, that might be because I don't have an at test on it. It's not good. It means I haven't been running a lot of my tests. Oh, I guess they're running from here. Right, I figured out the syntax to run 2 specific tests. Well, that took me more tries than I care to admit. Thought this was going to be some Elliot type SH. I don't know what that means. I mean, character Elliot, Mr. Robot. Oh, okay. Yeah, don't watch that show. I saw some clips of it. Just do it, bro. Okay, I will. This looks mad hard. It just requires lots of practice. You just have to spend thousands and thousands of hours, and then it becomes easy. But it still takes a long time. Never been here before. I'm currently working on a terminal-based video game. Are you raising funds successfully? Yep, so far. I think I've raised maybe about $1,000 so far. Do you have like side gigs? I guess this kind of was my side gig, but this is becoming my main gig. I need to get some more long form videos out as well, but at that moment I'm trying to get through getting my year-end taxes done. Once that'll be done in, I think, a few days. Good luck. Do you need an editor? Not quite at the moment. I don't have any money to pay one at the moment. Yeah, I don't know. Editing is a lot of work, but also I just can't seem to find the time to actually put out do the filming and stuff on the video. Because if I had an editor, I'd have to figure out a way to like transfer all the video and stuff. That would be a bunch of logistics in that. But for now, I think for most of the stuff I do, it's so specific. The amount of time it would take to communicate to an editor how to edit it, it would not make sense at this point. Thank you. Oh, I gained a new member. I didn't notice that in the chat. There was no notification. So thank you to whoever is the new member. This might work. So much math to review. Nope, it's broken. you know what? I need to actually compile and deploy that package. Because when I run the test directly, it doesn't do a Maven install of the core. What's this all about? What are you doing? This here is a terminal-based video game. So this is what I'm working on overall. This is the overall project. It's a terminal-based game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. And what I'm doing right now is trying to migrate. There's a design flaw in a really fundamental data structure that I'm using for representing regions of space. And I decided to refactor this. And so I'm trying to make a migration class and fix some of the math with it. So the issue is the upper end of the interval should be exclusive, not inclusive. And that would just make a whole bunch of things much easier if I did it that way. Can't talk about the news? Oh, you're getting censored? Yeah, I think things were kind of calm today. There was like supposedly some peace agreements and stuff, or unless something happened about in the last hour that I'm not aware of. Tried twice to mention birthright. Wow. Man, it's very overzealous. Like that's the fact that you're getting censored for talking about that. Like it's not a. I mean, it's hard to see how an AI would flag that. Abolished. I wonder though, is it will it actually be abolished? Are they gonna like fight it in court or something? Authentic looking SIP. I'm not sure what that means. From your bug? Oh. Oh, authentic looking sip. Oh, were you the one who called me out on trying to take a sip when there wasn't anything in my mug? What am I doing here? I am working on building this terminal-based video game. No, but I witnessed it. I'm working on developing this terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks of metal ores and other things in an infinite procedurally generated universe. And currently I'm working on trying to resolve some design flaws in a data structure. So I'm building like a migration pathway. Yeah, you could compare it to something like Minecraft in the sense that there's everything is a grid of blocks. Having said that, though, I think personally, I think Minecraft really lacks in mining ability. Like if you're going to make a game about mining, I mean, you could at least include how long did it take them to include copper? Like that was just a recent thing that was added. It was like 10 years before they added copper. But if I get there, currently I'm still working on some like fundamental features, like fundamental systems in the game. There's still no like substantial server stuff or multiplayer or anything like that. Very nice. Thanks for the kind words. Probably gonna have to draw this out on paper. maybe I need to. I forgot that I might probably need to modify the unit test. Not +1, it's -1. Just joined the Illuminati? Now they're my competition. Stephen Wright says WTF. As if you could message the Illuminati and get money. Yeah, they're mean. They don't share. Sorry, I forgive you. Do you forgive yourself? I mean, me or Stephen Wright? was watching your video about being broke at 37, broke at 25. I thought similar things. Yeah, hopefully that you can, hopefully there's some insights in that video so you can do better in the next 12 years. Are we just lazy, or do we actually seek change? What does that mean in this context? That's probably where the problem is. Yes, that is definitely where the problem is. Lazy as in not wanting to work the same way most people do. I don't know. I mean, in my view, starting a business is not like it's not that insane. Like someone has to start the businesses that actually employ people. And when I first started, I was like, I'm not going to try anything crazy, pie in the sky, speculative. I just like do general contract software development. And surely this field that for which there is such a strong demand for, there should be some people around who want some projects. And but the conclusion is, as I mentioned in the video, there's really not a lot of demand for it unless you go work at Google or something. I can't remember if I said in the video or the other ones, but I actually I just went around. I brought myself like a notepad, and I actually just walked around like the industrial park and like random places in town for like about a week or something. And I just like walked into stores, and I would talk to the business owners there, and about like technology and like if they had needs for a website, or just to kind of like assess, if there was any need from a small business for custom software development or anything. And the feeling for most small businesses is that it's for them, they're like, they hate technology, and they're like, it's all this stuff is putting them out of business, and they're like they're already about to go under, and they're like they feel like the last survivors of the zombie apocalypse, and they have no interest at all in all this new stuff and just want it to go away. I talked to one guy who was he had a tool repair business, and he said that he was thinking about selling the business and just like shutting down, but he couldn't find anyone to buy it. I think Robert mainly just chooses to not seek full-time employment. His company, if I recall correctly, prefers contracting self-employment. The original thesis has been to bootstrap a business, and I experiment by I do something, and then I see if it makes money, and if I can repeat that process, and if it makes more money, then I just keep doubling down on it, and that has led me to what I'm doing right now. Because the contract work is basically totally dried up, and I don't think it's coming back. If it does, it's going to be at a different form. It's just that people, I've heard, are rich now Talk about building a personal brand and entrepreneurship. People I've heard that from. I'm not sure who you mean by that, what you mean by that. I don't know who that first person is, but Warren Buffett is like, he's from a totally different generation. That was back when you can like if you go back, some of his early stock picking techniques were just like, I remember he said some of the early techniques were like, you would just call up the CEO. You would just like walk down to the CEO of like some company and would just be like, hello, I'm a kid who's interested in talking to the CEO of this like oil manufacturing company. And they're like, oh, sure. And then he would ask them about like the business and competitors and like he said he would ask them questions like, if you could go long one of your competitors or short one of your competitors for 30 years and go away, which ones would it be? And he said after like having that conversation with all the CEOs in a given industry, he would know, he'd have a good idea. But like, can you imagine a random person trying to do that now? Like his father was also a stockbroker, so the access and insight he had and the opportunity he had at the time was unlike anything that exists for people today. Why these people ever go into business if they aren't ready to compete? I mean, the same reason a lot of entrepreneurs go into business. They have big dreams and some of them want to work for themselves. I mean, a lot of people do restaurants because they just, they want the interaction, or some of them have like lucrative ideas of starting a franchise or something. But a lot of the businesses I talked to actually were like very old businesses. They had like existed for 30 years. And so they had done well like in the pre-internet age, but now they're just like the business owner's old and they're like, they don't care about expanding, or they're in the kind of later stages of their life and they're just like, well, yeah, we operate at a loss. It's just something to do. Zero to one as much as you can till it works. I'm not sure how to put that in practice. I mean, a lot of people, to the extent that they want to create a brand today, just want to be influencers. They want to drop ship rebranded Chinese goods for a quick turnover. Those kinds of entrepreneurs annoy me. I think there was an arbitrage condition where that was, you could do that, but so many people tried that. Like the people who are going to continue to be successful at that are the people who already made millions and have like tons of data. And I imagine there's tons of courses on that, but what'll happen if you try to set up your dropshipping business, unless you have it run really well, the first thing is you need to get clicks. So where do you get clicks? They'll say like, oh, just use Facebook ads. But if you have a really low quality dropshipping site and you're getting reported, you're going to get banned from Facebook ads. So that's going to be the first hurdle. And then you have like zero traffic. Don't have an answer. I'm looking for one. Have a good night. It's pretty insightful. Are we dropshipping Facebook? Yeah, there's that. There's always like temporary kind of niches. They're like things you can exploit that'll work for a while. I mean, the other one is in order to make it actually profitable, because like dropshipping requires zero effort. So you're competing with other people. And if the market gets crowded, like there's only so many of these like, stupid little $2 gimmicks, like mugs with, a person's face on it or Trump's face on it or something like that. So if you're competing with other people, like if it's on AliExpress or something, then there's, anyone else can find this product and sell it. So then you're going to have problems like people will steal your ads. That's a huge problem. Like there's like default, so you can get a default image of it. It's low quality, but you can do better if you actually buy the product and make your own ads and like, hire a model or something to like show the product or something, because people click on that more, but then people will steal your ads. So then that's another competitive problem. And actually now, I bet the most recent advantage was probably like using AI to use AI generated clips of your product. But then there's the problem, like some of those might get reported because like if your AI imagines the product wrong or something, now there's false advertising. And that, AI slop is interesting at first, but now the barrier has been lowered even more. So think about how many people are going to be making like AI slop ads about stuff. And with the click of a button, you can make 5 million of those, and consumers only have so much tolerance for that. And the better thing to make, and then the other thing to make your ads competitive is if you actually have empirical sales data, you can use that to improve the marketing. So you can advertise to like more finely tuned lookalike groups. But that requires that you actually have some sales data, and you can match that to emails and stuff. So the people who have like millions of dollars in sales previously, they have basically long lists of the demographics and type of people who actually buy a certain thing. So those people have a huge advantage over someone just starting out. So often what will happen is you'll sell a product or something like that, and you'll sell it at a loss. You may be like, it's a $20 product, and you, because it's a competitive marketplace, you maybe lose $3 per sale for a while until you get like, many hundreds of data points of sales. So now you have sales, some empirical data about people, like the type of person who buys that product. So it might be just old people, it might be women, it might be some specific demographic people, university people. But you don't even have to figure that out. What you do is you just collect the data and you throw it into the advertising algorithm. The algorithm figures that out for you. But what will happen over time is, as it gets more competitive, the initial loss that you take on the product, marketing it, to hopefully get enough data before you turn a profit, that amount of investment you have to put in gets higher and higher until it becomes like so much that you invest, thousands of dollars into losing money on a product, and then it never turns profitable. Have you tried that route before? I've spent a few $1,000s on Facebook ads, and my conclusion is that I think there's something there with Facebook ads, but I did not I think to make it actually work, you need like many thousands of dollars to have budgets. So I think just from like a statistical perspective, even just starting an ad, like to know. If you have, say, 2 ads, one's like a static image and one's like a video or something, you want to know, like before you scale it up and spend like $100,000 on that ad, you want to know which ad performs better. Because, a 10% reduction in the ad cost or like a slightly better ad could convert twice as much. So that's a massive increase in your profitability. But to even test whether there's a statistically significant difference between 2 ads, there's like a random number I'm throwing out, but because it would depend on so many factors. But imagine something like, say, $600 of ad spend before you even have an idea whether of just running 2 ads. So you create one A/B test. You're spending $500 to $1,000 just to conclude that one ad is better than the other one. And then the worst case scenario is like they're a tie, and then sending you to A/B test another variation. So that's another $1,000 to do another test. And I just don't have the money for it. Because if you work backwards from, like, say, a conversion, say you're just trying to break even at first, which is like miraculous if you can get there. If the product is $20, if you're getting $20 of revenue from it, and the cost of the ad, $20 of revenue, and you want to get some sales, or say $20 of profit, but you're spending $20 on advertising for that product, and so you're break even on the return on ad spend, after you consider the cost of the product. If you want to get a statistically significant sample size, you say like on the order of 30, that's not even that big. Ideally, you'd want like hundreds or thousands, but like as a baseline statistical significance, you can't have like 5 sales. That's not statistically significant. So 30 would be like a reasonable baseline. So you take like 30 samples of sales times the cost of the product, or the profitability of the product. So that is about $600, and so that's the amount of money you should expect to spend when you're first starting out to break even and be statistically significant and confident that you've actually broken even, that you will break even if you scale that up and start, instead of spending 600, you spend like 60,000 or something on it. And I just don't have the money to do these kind of tests. Now I just need to figure out why my code ain't working. Wonder if digital services tax will make those advertising costs higher as Meta tries to pass off their expenses to clients. Yeah, I'm sure it will. Like, it's just and it's not even about anything. It's not even going to be anything about what Meta decides, because if that money has to come from somewhere. So whether it's the Facebook that pays it, or the client, the customer that pays it, or so it's that money's getting squeezed out of the system somehow. Is that what the $12 billion is for? Facebook ads? Actually, that's I wasn't thinking about that. It was mostly for the Deepwater Port construction, but maybe we could run a fundraising campaign. Manitoba's already planning an export terminal and port in James Bay. Could piggyback off that. Yeah, I think they. I can't remember if that was in that location. They actually did have like some terminal up in the like Hudson's Bay area, but it's kind of like dilapidated or something. Honestly, we have so much area in Canada that we should make a much better effort to actually use it. And that might be why. My understanding is they want to use it to ship some resources from Western provinces out to Europe and other markets, but it's frozen a significant portion of the year. So they have to make heavy use of icebreakers. Yeah, there's there was a port there. If it's the same place I'm thinking about, there is an existing like old port that hasn't been used for like 60 years or something. We actually there's a rail line that goes up there that was I think it was like 5 years. We've maintained it for like a century and a half or something, that rail line, and then we just like decommissioned it like 5 years ago or something. I mean, there is, someone has to run the numbers on like what are the economics of it. Like, do we actually produce enough resources? There's so much stuff in Canada that just hampers our ability to be productive. Like all the pipeline nonsense. We're always like, hey, let's build a pipeline, and then we approve it and build it, and we're like, nope, let's not turn this on. Let's not use it. Then we reroute it and replan it. We start it up and we shut it down. Oh, it's after midnight already. I guess I should probably call it a night. If I recall correctly, I believe it was the oil companies that decided the pipeline wasn't going to be profitable. There wasn't a business case. I think the issue heavily depends. I remember it was Warren Buffett actually commented a bit on that, and I think his comment was basically that getting infrastructure projects in Canada is just like not a viable thing. So it's all about the profitability was mainly about like the regulatory hurdles, and like we've been talking about maybe building a pipeline for I don't know, like this must be like 30 years or something. This has just been, it's like a forever thing. I think there's some bigger forces at work that are like interfering in our ability to actually build this stuff. So if you know, like the policymakers have decided to make it impossible, then it's going to be impossible. Because like to physically build it and stuff, I think that's those calculations are easy to do. Alberta can get that oil. Yeah, I guess it also does depend a lot on price, but I mean, over time, we're still going to need we're going to need energy for a long time. I don't think we've reached peak oil until we can build like 5 billion windmills and solar panels. We have to get energy somewhere. But anyway, I think I'll probably call it a night. I didn't get super far on this tonight, but hopefully I can. This got to be just some off by one error. Oh, thank you very much. 1337. Awesome. That's a great end tonight. Another 1510 toward the World Domination Fund. All right, I'll be back tomorrow then. See you later, guys.